Good morning.
Good morning. It is Friday because Thursday was a disaster.
It was
Okay, it wasn't a disaster. It actually worked out well. This is Suzie. Welcome aboard to a late day. Matt's here. I'm here. I'm Suzie. This is Suzie Health Solutions, Wenatchee Insurance. This is Suzie. Welcome to our podcast.
Yep.
We usually do this on Thursdays, but Thursday got kind of got away from us. We started and we got interrupted and we never got a chance to get back.
Yeah, we never got a restart.
No, so here we are today. Still going to do it.
Okay, so do you remember what the topic was?
Rainbows.
It's the rainbow in the room.
That's it, the rainbow in the room. I knew there was rainbows and something involved with that. But.
Yeah, we've done, I think, a couple podcasts about the LGBTQ community.
Oh yeah, we're big supporters. We are officially allies.
We've been allies before the term allies. I think.
That's true. I mean, to be fair, I have over the course of my 53 years learned a lot and grown as a human being and realized I made some really gross mistakes in the past and learned from them. So yay me. Yeah,
we do what we consider our normal training is like really unusual in the industry.
I guess so. I mean, we've actually taken specific courses on not sensitivity, but awareness, and proper pronoun usage and how to respect folks that are not just like me.
No, yeah, it's that mindful awareness of others. One of the best ones we did was Out to Enroll.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's a really good one if you're looking for healthcare.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it kind of showed us we're like the only one with like 50 miles.
Yeah, I know.
Have taken the training.
I know.
It's just a vast sea of untrained. Mm-hmm. And from that we took and we customized our CSR system,
CSM system,
our customer relationship module,
right,
to include pronouns.
Correct. Which is a really excellent move. And then one of the things we also learned is how to address the question. Well, the Washington Healthplanfinder changed up their gender question to gender assigned at birth.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty darn awesome. I think we're going to get an X gender soon.
It's hard to say because
there's the feds involved.
Yeah, the feds are involved. It takes some mechanisms because insurance moves like glacier speed.
Yeah, it really does. But we've got, in our local office system, we've taken strides to be as inclusive as possible. And then the way we talk to our clients, we try to be as inclusive as possible.
Well, it's not just being inclusive. We are inclusive. There's a real difference there. I want to stress because our partner, is formally out.
Mm-hmm. They actually have been for a while.
Yeah, we've had a herd of people that are doing gender affirming care.
Mm-hmm. And we're happy. I'm so happy that we were there to help them, get the health care that they needed. Because health insurance is a tough sea to navigate, even if you're not doing something complicated.
Yeah, I remember we've done this so long. I remember fighting over gay marriages.
Yeah.
With different platforms. It's like, no, you gotta honor this because this is the law of the land. I've literally had that battle.
Oh yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I was like, no,
we've done this and we've been on the battlefield for the entire time.
Yeah. And about 3-4 years ago, we had a couple flags that were burned in town.
Yeah.
And that was the point. I was like, okay, well, we got to step up what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we tabled at our first local Pride event. Mm-hmm. This year we're going to do a slew of different Pride events.
Right, all over the Central Washington.
We set up a business dedicated to assist with, the marginalized communities getting health insurance.
Yep.
And we've even set up a T-shirt line.
That's true. If you get a chance, Matt will probably put a link where he put links for our Outlaw Agenda line. And they're pretty groovy. T-shirts are great. There's also tumblers and water bottles, and they're really nice quality. And we made sure the prices were as affordable as possible. We're not actually making any profit to speak of on these.
Yeah. And so our Outlaw Agenda was actually, T-shirt was out there during the first, it was a counter protest against book restrictions.
Yeah, well, no, not restrictions, bans. There was a effort made to. There's a group that comes out of Florida.
Moms for Liberty.
Moms for Liberty.
Or that nonsense.
They were generated in Florida. Mm-hmm. They've got a branch here in Wenatchee, and they went after Wenatchee School District they said, we want these 3 books, and they, of course, only the Wenatchee School District only had one of them in the libraries, mm-hmm. but they basically they opened the door for banning books again. And 30 or so mm-hmm. people stood up at the most recent Wenatchee School District Board meeting and said no.
Yeah.
Which was great. I loved it. And nobody stood up saying, yes, we should ban these books. So that was a plus.
Yeah, it's really an insane notion to restrict these literatures. Yeah. Because it was really kind of, we really didn't have that when we were kids.
They were banning books when we were kids, but they were not LGBTQ oriented at all.
Yeah, they weren't specific. I know I read more than one banned book, and talked to our son. It's like, yeah, he's had his hands on a couple. Uh-huh. But it's the next generation.
Yeah,
and that is really huge, because that's the generation that when we get old and feeble, they'll pick what old folks home we go to. Mm-hmm. And if you want to restrict on knowledge that they gain, uh-huh. and empathy that they gain from that knowledge,
because that's what you're doing when you're cutting off these books, you're losing empathy education.
Yeah. And so what sort of decisions will they make for you?
Uh-huh.
And that's what a lot of it's this weird notion of this mistreating and this channeling of the youth in this attempt to groom them into these angry individuals that are just destructive, because you're gonna need those caregivers, you're gonna need those builders.
Yeah.
And so it's really a weird notion.
And then if someone who lives their life in such an angry, vitriolic manner, they're going to burn out early, and they won't last long enough to take care of their parents.
Not necessarily.
Well, there are the grumpy old folk.
Yeah, there are certainly plenty of grumpy old folk, but it's the death toll along the way.
Oh yeah.
It's the you're limiting career paths. Mm-hmm. Because because it's not only just the LGBTQ, it's some of the race stuff.
Oh yeah,
the CRT.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we have on our hillside is a big lit up cross.
Yep.
And someone's pointed out that in Washington State, the KKK has had a history of using electric crosses.
Yep. I doubt that was the thought there, but I'm sure that there's some people that are very inspired by that concept. What bothers me more about that particular thing is if someone were to put up a non-Christian symbol, like a giant lit up over the on the hillsides, there'd be a lot more people up in arms about it.
Well, we've had a local synagogue just last week that had swastikas spray painted on the door.
They absolutely did. They got, and that's so. I mean, obviously, we got some room to grow in that regard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's disgusting. But the whole big cross on the hillside thing, it infers, I always get that wrong, that this is a quote Christian community, and there's a lot of non-Christians around this area.
Well,
and then there's a lot of Christians who don't really feel that that's an appropriate thing to be having on a giant hillside.
But an instrument of torture.
Uh-huh.
One of the things we did this year early on was we did some outreach. Actually, it started last year. We were at an outreach event, and we had a slew of materials on the table.
Yes.
And I'm very watchful of what customers pick.
Yes.
And out of the vast assortment of ice scrapers and literatures and koozies and fun stuff,
lots of swag.
Lots of swag. The one thing that was picked off was a rainbow sticker.
Yeah, the rainbow sticker was very popular.
And that happened like last November during it was Black Friday.
It was the event up in Chelan.
Mm-hmm. And then recently, we did a high school event, career day.
Yeah.
And well, lo and behold, our LGBTQ stuff was hot.
Oh yeah.
Because there is you look at the numbers in the population, and they're much more inclusive, and widespread. So it's like, okay, yeah, here's a population that's coming into their own, that's looking for career paths. There are businesses that are just screaming for new employees.
Oh yeah, I want somebody who's willing to work. Oh my gosh, that's a phrase.
Yeah.
And they realize there's a whole bunch of people that they may be discounting without even realizing it.
Yeah, it's incredible to me. It's like, okay, yeah, you could run your business more inclusive, and instantly you have access to at least 17%.
Absolutely.
of a population that's coming in that's eager.
And all you have to do is not be biased about who you hire. And not give the people you do hire a hard time about their gender identity. Yeah. That's it.
Because here's the thing. It's like, who cares what gender? Who cares, what the attraction is, the sexuality? Because you're not supposed to be doing that in the office anyway.
There you go. There you go. I mean, people go, you get folks who are, what we run into is usually folks being morally outraged because somebody who doesn't fit into their little box must be amoral or evil. And that's when you take that broad paintbrush and sweep over an entire population based on false assumptions, you're really cutting yourself off. You're not, if you're not looking at these people, if you're not looking at this population with an unbiased eye, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And that was a little sloppy, but I think I got my point across.
It's early, drink some coffee.
Yeah. Sorry, gang.
Yeah, because when you paint with broad brushes, you don't know eventually you're going to end up painting someone that you love and care about.
It's true. I imagine a lot of people don't realize that they have got folks who are working on figuring out their gender identity. They don't even realize it's in it's a thing in their family or in their friends, because for one reason or another they're being, that this person's being quiet about it.
Well, yeah, we had a wonderful person that spoke at the school meeting, and they talked about they had a strong Christian household. and that their kid struggled
a lot
because the kid acknowledged that they had those those biases, and did not want, didn't feel that they could, assist them.
Right. The child didn't feel, because they were raised in a less inclusive feeling household, they didn't feel like that they could talk to their parents about what was going on. Eventually it did come to a point where communication did happen, and it saved their lives.
Yeah.
Because mom was saying that if we hadn't figured this out, they'd most likely be a victim. They would have, died by suicide.
Oh yeah, because there's a huge population that do not get support from home, and they it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and it's hostile. I mean, think about it. There are folks that are so petty and so angry that they make it hard for someone to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I just find that ridiculous. I grew up in the country. We had outhouses. There was no, oh, you got to be this gender to go inside. No, you went in, you did your business, you got out.
Okay. In everyone's home, it's a transgender house. It's a multi-gender bathroom. Everyone uses the same bathroom regardless of their gender. Well, how is that different?
Well, maybe these are folks that think that they're, like the old 60s, the 50s and 60s one, where they had built the bathroom out on the porch for the help.
Oh yeah, if the help had a bathroom.
Yeah, it's just ludicrous.
Oh yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, you're not. Okay. Good example. Here's an example of true ludicrousness. I watched a TikTok the other day, which I'm inclined to do because it's quick, entertaining, and bubblegum a lot of times. But this particular person has it's a polycystic ovary syndrome.
Okay.
And what that does, it really screwed around with her hormones a lot. And one of the side effects is you get facial hair.
Okay.
And she had a little mustache and a little, little chin hair. So she just kind of had a slightly masculine presentation. She went to the bathroom and she came out of the bathroom, and there's this big guy standing there. You can't be in there. Because the big guy had made an assumption that this person that she was transgender. She's not transgender. She just has a fuzzy chin.
Yeah.
And so she actually had to lock herself back in there and get her fiance to come save her. That's how ridiculous this kind of stuff's getting.
Yeah, it's like, treat people like people.
Yeah.
It's not this, oh, well, hey, I'm this self-appointed watchdog for this arbitrator, When I had long hair, there was a couple times where, the old timers with the bad eyes, thought I was a gal.
Yeah.
I've had girlfriends with short hair. That was just the opposite. They thought they were guys because it could,
Hair is so superficial. That's what cracks me up.
Yeah, it's these are secondary traits, and it's like, come on, guys. It doesn't matter.
No.
But yeah, usually there's this weird relationship on how people treat you based on gender.
Oh yeah. The thing is, that's the way it's been for a long time, and we're just in America, we're just starting to get our heads back around. I mean, it's been transgenderism and multiple, that kind of thing has been literally always part of humans.
Oh man, that was just.
You could track it back to prehistoric times.
Yeah, it's not a small number, and every so often they disappear because they're killed out by a bunch of jerks.
Well, or they end up back in the closet, which is where they get shoved in closets, which is where our radical right is wanting to put our transgender folks again, shove them back into closets. No, not okay. No. This is not a new concept. Get over it.
Yeah, we struggle with it because, like I said, it's always been part of our lives.
Yeah.
It's been part of our business forever because, we Section 1557 of the ACA deals with rights for gender specifically in insurance.
Didn't that get challenged in the Texas court recently?
It's been challenged a couple times. It's been held up. It's one of those ones that for some reason, probably because of bias, has not really, no legal team has really taken it and created a smackdown that it deserves on some of these folks that are saying, oh, well, you can use your religion to prejudice against a group.
Yeah.
And because it really spells out that, hey, you cannot, in the terms of insurance or healthcare, be biased against gender.
Yeah.
And the reason they did that is because there were literally cases of doctors refusing to treat dying people because of the doctor's own biases.
Oh, yeah. It's still happening.
It's still happening, and it's still getting pushed off to the side, and there's ways to report that.
Yes.
And it's very important because it goes against the whole do no harm concept. It goes against the idea that doctors are healers and upstanding members of the community.
Yeah. And we want our doctors to be healers and upstanding members of the community. We also know that they're human and they can be influenced and biased, and you can be a narrow-minded, bigoted doctor. It does exist.
It does, and there's lists of good doctors that do affirming care. It's one of the things that I put on the outNCW.org site was I made sure that there's actual doctors that go through, not only training, but they prefer to treat a population, the LGBTQIA plus community, because often it's one of their own.
Yeah.
So there's a network of doctors out there and nurse practitioners that acknowledge that, hey, some of these other folks aren't treating you right. I want to make sure that every chance I get, I'm going to treat someone right.
Yes, and they exist. They're out there. And we need more of them. And we need fewer of those who refuse to treat based on outdated moral mores.
Well, yeah, because just recently we went through Transgendered Day. I think it was like the 8th.
Day of Visibility?
Day of Visibility.
It was like April 4th.
Well, no, there's Day of Visibility, which is that.
Okay.
And then there was basically it's the Anti-Homophobia Day.
Oh, okay.
And that's the day when it's like 78, when homosexuality was pulled from the psychology books.
Yeah. When it was no longer...
excuse me, the American psychology books.
Yeah, it was no longer a disease.
Yeah.
A disease state.
So yeah, that's been a long time, but there's some old practitioners that are like, it's like there's some practitioners in the Army with the whole don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Which was just ludicrous to me.
Yeah.
Because I was in the service.
I was thinking you were in the service during that period, weren't you? Or just before it?
Just before it. It was still kind of because there was this misnomer, it opened up folks for security clearances.
Yeah.
Because it enabled the people to be blackmailed, because when you hold secrets, you're able to be blackmailed.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's not a secret, you can't blackmail someone about it. And that was it's like, well, so the theory was, okay, well, you can't be gay in the service because someone can blackmail you. Well, guess what? If everyone's just open about it, it's not an issue.
Yeah. Because actually,
someone missed that disconnect.
I held a security clearance, and that was.
And I promise you were gay.
Yeah, well, there was that going in, and then which is funny because later on, just about 5 years ago, there was a general that got in trouble because he was a swinger. holding those secrets, and that's a security risk.
Yeah. Secrets are always a security risk, but because security is all about secrets. Mm-hmm. There's official secrets and there's personal secrets. If you've got personal secrets, you're vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So that's what that's about.
Well, there's that, and also your financial standing. Yeah. Because it opens creates a vulnerability. Uh-huh. And so that you can ply people in certain directions.
Yes, you're not wrong.
And that's kind of where you start denying care. Yeah. You start to see that it's like, oh well, I can leverage these people into doing this and being angry this way. Uh-huh. Or I can start to leverage, be angry to go this way. Yeah, and that's I can channel them into large corporations to work for them for lower wages if they can't get the goods by themselves. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a people moving thing. The next generation, they're wonderfully inclusive. Mm-hmm. But we're Gen Xers, so we've gone through what, Gen Y.
Yeah, well, the millennials and then Gen Y. Yeah. And then the Gen Ys, and then what's the next generation? ABs or something? I don't know. I don't know what the next generation is at this point.
They're really young.
They're the Gen Y kids. The kids of the Gen Ys. Yeah. And that's happening. It's like, oh, dude. Yeah, the millennials are getting old. Sorry. But yeah, with that next generation, it's just becoming more and more because it is it's recognized as a normal part of life rather than something that should be not talked about. Shh. That's not a thing anymore.
Well, I think that let's talk about some of the bears in the world. Okay. The rainbow products.
Oh, rainbow washing.
Rainbow washing. Most recently was the Bud Light.
Yeah, poor Dylan Mulvaney. Well, no, not poor Dylan Mulvaney. Unfortunately, she sort of got crosshaired for it. But...
She got crosshaired for it. Some of it is the jerk squad waiting to be jerks.
No, yeah, there's no question.
Because her 1 year celebration, woohoo, that absolutely understandable on doing that. The beer industry as a whole have been out and proud for quite a few years.
Oh yeah, you don't have to look very hard to find out and proud supporters.
Yeah, it's just, but it was kind of this backlash that's being fueled by like 20 individuals to drive this culture war thing. And it's really it's really a dying group at this point.
Yeah, I am okay with that.
And the problem is the dying mule kicks the hardest.
Yeah, they're very loud. They're very, and they've got the platform of Fox News.
No, it's not just the platform of Fox News.
No, but that's a big part of it.
No.
You don't think so?
I think that's minor.
Really?
I really do. I thought that was minor. You got Sinclair out there, which is the daily news. You've got Facebook groups. Yeah. You've got other platforms now.
As long as there's been the internet, there's been that kind of platform happening, and that's not going to change anytime soon. It's a matter of changing people's mindsets so the groups don't flourish. If no one engages with them, they're not going to survive. There supports them. I mean, you can engage with them in a like you're a big jerk status, but
there is always a group out there that is willing to do evil, mask under good.
Yeah. I mean that seems to be human nature.
Well, yeah, because it gives them that righteous feel.
And a lot of times they're hiding behind the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've met so many amazing, wonderful, inclusive, Jesus loving, living the truth and walking the walk and talking the talk Christians.
Yeah.
And I've also met some holy terror Christians that are just absolutely not living a Christian manner.
Well,
and they're the scary ones.
It's not just the Christians, because I'm not going to just throw the Christians on.
No, and they're just the first ones that popped up.
It's any group that's passionate, because you run into the military, us veterans.
Yeah.
There's a group that's just like, oh no, that's horrible, and then there's almost every little subgroup like that has got terror. There's even gatekeeping taking place with the LGBTQ community.
Well, your TERFs are a good example. Trans exclusionary radical feminists.
Yeah.
Go figure.
So yeah, they're you got stop looking at the gatekeeping and start looking at the actions.
Yeah.
If someone's inclusive, they're inclusive year round.
Yeah. Not just during June.
Not just during June. Not just because your Uncle Fred brought over Walt, who's their longtime boyfriend,
roommate.
The roommate. Look on how people generally treat each other, and it's one of the things that I learned growing up. It's like, how does a person treat the secretary? How does the person treat the janitor?
Yeah.
How does a person treat someone that has no power over them? Yeah. If they treat them well, that probably means they're a good person. If they go out of their way to be mean and kick them and do horrible things, then yeah, they're not a good person.
Probably not a good person from in the deep manner. We're out of time.
Okay, so we're gonna get going. Susie's got to get her hair done today.
Yes, I'm going to be looking slightly different by the end of the day.
So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna have fun and terrorize. So yeah, Pride Month is huge, but it's also more than a month.
Right. It is. It's like, yes, Pride Month is more than just a month. It's just when we celebrate.
Yes, and don't be so mean that we have to break out bricks again.
There you go. That would not be a thing. Be an ally, don't be a jerk.
Yep. So bye-bye for now.
Bye.